find ourselves. That way we can begin to disseminate our culture and put it, you know, on the same scale where other cultures are. Because like you will know, Urhobo tradition or culture is very rich in dance, in music, in arts, in art forms, in sculpture, everything that you can think of culturally. And it is just a joy to see flashes of all of this, you know, from time to time. I mean, who can forget the golden days of Mokomoko and Ugute, Sajuju and Ugiabo, Sally Young, you know, and of course, as it begins to trickle down to younger generations, Michael Okri and the now young one who they call MC Nakodia, also another young talented one that is just beginning to make some waves. Building resilience for mankind or in a pandemic era. What is it about? It is coping, it is adapting, and of course, managing difficult situations. One of the things that occurred to me when I was looking at this topic was the fact that before the pandemic, all kinds of viruses have been affecting the entertainment industry. They did not decimate it. What happened with COVID-19 is that when COVID-19 came, it exposed how fragile the entertainment industry was, or how fragile most of our economies were, and our sectors were. And when COVID-19 struck, it completely decimated the entertainment industry. So you will find that the panic is real. You know, while some few sectors are enjoying and being able to withstand the effects of COVID-19, when I voted earlier, I voted that, you know, it severely affected my industry, because since March, when we were shut down, I was in a project. I was in the so-called biggest project of my career at the time in March, when we were shut down by Netflix. Since March up until now, I haven't like really worked or earned a salary from the kind of work that I do in the entertainment industry. What one has been living on are more or less payments from works that have been done or completed, you know, that we managed to complete online when COVID struck. Now, one of the things I also did in looking at this topic was to look at the Urhobo Nation and entertainment in the Urhobo Nation, and to ask, to throw up some questions here. And I'm glad that Uncle Peter is here. I'm glad that Alibaba is here. I'm glad Rachel is here. And of course, the Urhobo webinar group of professionals are all here, so that we can begin to look at some of these things and ask ourselves whether or not we have done well indeed, and what we are doing wrongly, and how we can use, you know, our platforms to advance the cause of the Urhobo entertainer. Like I said, there were viruses before, from the virus of a failed political system, of the curse of the oil of the oil reserve or petroleum as we know it, and of course of changing times. You will find that after the golden era of Omokomoko and Ogute and Sally Young and co, and of course Okparibo and the ones who did Urhobo Disco, you will find that there has been a gap between that, let's say, late 90s and very early 20s to present day. You will find that there hasn't been any real transition. When you were playing the music earlier on, apart from, okay, well, God bless us, so Kefi, we haven't succeeded. There was no clear transition from that golden era to present day. So you will find that apart from the few professionals and icons we have in various fields of entertainment, you will find that entertainment amongst the Urhobo people has actually been undergoing all kinds of, for lack of a better word, have been impacted by all kinds of virus, like I said before. So how do we begin to find a way for entertainment to evolve and have and begin to have another era that can be reminiscent of what we had in that golden era, or that can even surpass it? In my view, entertainment stopped being consumed in the traditional way that it was consumed when that golden era was, from the late 90s and then of course into the 2000, and of course with the serious birth of the internet. With the internet, you will find that the traditional stage of performance, or the traditional arena of performance, had progressed or had moved from the physical stage to online. And because our people haven't really made that transition, the entertainment was already like an endangered profession in the Urhobo areas. And I found this a funny correlation. And I asked myself, I said, is it by any luck or chance, or how come some of the Urhobo icons that we know in business were the ones who managed to make the transition from Warri, or from the Urhobo area, Agbar or Ugeli, the Udu area, and sort of move or expanded their businesses to Benin, to Agbo, or outside of Urhobo land, and especially to Lagos? Because what has happened over the years, as entertainment started, really evolved, is that it has been distilled into a few major cities in Nigeria. And so you will find, for instance, that the capital of entertainment in Nigeria is Lagos. And if you have an art form, no matter where you are in the world, in Nigeria, for instance, or in the Urhobo nation, for instance, if you have a way of expressing yourself artistically, if you have dominated your immediate area, the natural next thing to do is to progress to the capital of entertainment, or one of the major capitals of entertainment, or one of the major cities in Nigeria where there is a bigger audience. A lot of our people did not do that even before the internet came on. Now that the internet is here, a lot of them have still not made that transition into the internet, where it is where that now serves as your stage, as a stage, as a stage today. So that if entertainment is not being consumed in the traditional way that it was consumed before, maybe do a music really put it in a cassette and it is disseminated around Nigeria, or do a record and it is disseminated around Nigeria, it's played on radio. These days, there are all kinds of platforms where you can plug in. The entire world has been reduced into a global village. Now, I find that for the most part, practitioners of entertainment in the Urhobo land are still caged. They're still doing it at that subsistence level in their various localities, and not taking advantage of a global world that is now at their fingertips. Because nowadays, like I said, the stage has moved from the physical stage as we know it onto platforms that are streamed, or in fact, to make it even more, to give you an idea of how much evolution that has happened, we have a terminology that we now say that the television has left the wall, or television has left the wall and migrated to your palm. So your telephone actually is now your television, or is now your stage. I recall having a workshop somewhere, and I was telling the young people that, look, don't be looking for people to give you a platform anymore when they are not giving you. You now have your own platform. I cannot tell you enough how many people have become overnight global sensation by just posting something on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter, or having their music on iTunes or Spotify or whatever. We need to take advantage of all of this. In the dissemination of all of our creative work, of all our content, we need to start taking advantage of how the stage has evolved into streaming platforms, and we need to start doing that so that in time, when the real renaissance of the Urhobo culture and entertainment starts again, or now that it has started, let me not say starts again, now that it has started, we can then begin to see it. We can then begin to project it on all the platforms that are available to us. Fora like this, or forums like this, can take things that we consider a good reflection of our culture and put them on platforms that we have access to. Or entrepreneurs can begin to arise that can be able to give the impetus that entertainers or content creators need to be able to get to the rest of the world. Because like I said, the world has been shrunk into a small global village and the entry level is actually quite easy. Data, you have data on your phone, no matter how small, as long as you have access, to Facebook or internet, you have access to the rest of the world. I recall very recently a young ballet dancer who, a young boy who was dancing in the rain without shoes, and somebody posted it on one of these platforms, and the video went viral. And today the boy has been offered a school scholarships to come to America to learn ballet and all of that. That just gives you an idea of the power of the internet. And of course, if you're a content creator, if you create, and how easy these days it is to just create your own platform. I even forgot to mention YouTube. YouTube is like the go-to place. I mean, there are Nigerians who you'll be amazed are making so much money from just creating little pieces and skits, and posting on their YouTube channel. I can give you names of young Nigerian comedians and all of that. Alibaba probably will do that later when he speaks, of people who are making so much money. So what do we do outside of this? We need to start to form alliances. We need to start to build networks between us. We need to start to collaborate with other cultures as to improving and letting our art evolve into something that is digestible by every and anybody that is interested in it. Another thing we can also need to do that we also need to do is to start to task government. We need to task government to start to create policies that can sustain entertainment, that are entertainment friendly. And the way to do this is for the leaders in the industry, the leaders in the entertainment sector, to start to do this. I'm glad that Alibaba is a member of the committee that has been set up by the federal government to look at the impact of COVID-19 on the entertainment sector, and hopefully there will be some kind of relief to those who are hardest hit by this. So there is all of that to do, and I was in Urhobo. We were able to settle our differences. Some border war that has been going on for over 30 years. Suddenly the younger people decided to come together and say, they are tired of fighting, every day of their lives. And what was one of the major vehicles of that coming together? It was through our music. It was through our music, through our dance, through the arts, through the entertainment sector. Icons from Ogbijo and icons from Alaja, we all came together and we forged, we had a fantastic peace concert. And then we decided that it is time to start coming home, because insecurity was a major problem before in coming home. So there and there, we decided to start coming home to source for local talents, that might not know how to navigate the internet, or that might not know how to navigate the present times, on how to take advantage of the global village that we all now live in. We have said that we're going to do talent shows and in all the performing arts, and by extension, over time, we are hoping that the plastic arts too will come to take advantage of this as well, of the piece that is going to be in the area. And of course, entertainment also, can be stretched to include sporting activities. So when I said tasking government, one of the things that we must task government to do also is to be able to create the enabling environment for all of this to thrive. Without security, there is nothing that can happen as far as entertainment is concerned. If people don't have the absence of fear, they will not come out to do anything, or they will not be able to encourage people to come out or to join movements that will expose their lives to danger. So please, I don't know if I've done up to 20 minutes, so that I don't overreach my timing. Have I done up to 20 minutes? I'll pause and then do more, take questions if the questions arise. Yes.
Thank you very much, our big brother, Richard Mufedamijo, and particularly, I think it is appropriate to just take 1 minute to pay honor and tribute to all we have lost, especially across Urhobo land through coronavirus and also the Alaja Ugbejo crisis. We've lost a lot of people. Our brothers and sisters have been sacrificed through that crisis. And I'm very proud because I actually watched that concert and I saw the role that you played as one of the leaders from that constituency in Alaja. I just want us to pay respect to all that we have lost in the last couple of months and also through the years, especially through the Alaja Ugbejo crisis. Let's just bow our heads in honor of them. May the souls of all those we have lost in Urhobo land, may they all rest in the bosom of the Almighty, and may they sleep on in peace. Amen. Thank you very much, our big brother, Richard Mufedamijo. If you are just joining us, what we are doing is the Urhobo webinar group series on entertainment, the 3rd edition, and welcome for joining us. You have just listened to our brother, Richard Mufedamijo, who's our keynote speaker, just setting the tone, talking about building resilience and some of the challenges, including creating sustainability, also driving growth in technology, as well as stimulating government policy towards sustainability of the entertainment sector. Ladies and gentlemen, just following RMD is our big uncle and a father figure. I was surprised when he told me that he's 72 years. We are so blessed to have you. And I hear all the great work you have done over time. Peter Eagle, like I mentioned, is a household name. We all know him. And some of you who have not experienced him, you will be having the honor to listen to him live through this webinar. And it's such a great pleasure, to have Peter Eagle with us. Speaking to him in the last 1 week has been so refreshing, and it gives me a lot of hope that Urhobo shall be great again and that we shall achieve our destinies. So at this point, I want to invite our big uncle and our father, one who's renowned for the transformation in the television industry, Mr. Peter Eagle, to give us his remarks. And after that, we'll transition into the event. Up to you, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Okay, I am thinking Peter Eagle's network has fallen off because I can't find him right on. So I think we may need to proceed to the next speaker while Peter Eagle comes on live. To our big brother, Ali Baba, who is also here with us to give us his remarks and also his contribution. So I'd like you to unmute your mic, Ali Baba, and make your presentation, and also have conversations. Once again, a big thank you to you for honoring us with your time. Ali Baba, over to you.
All right, thank you so much for having me do this. And I would also not take too much of our time because it is it's important to quickly get this out of the way. Okay, so we're talking entertainment, and so when we're talking entertainment, yes, sir.
Can we see you? Are you on video? You're not. We can't see your video.
I'm on video. I'm on video. My video is not paused.
Okay.
My video is not paused, so I don't know.
Okay.
My video is not paused, so I don't know why. My video is not paused.
All right. I can't see you though, but we can hear you clearly, but we can't see you. That's the only challenge. Okay. Yeah, we can see you now. Yeah, we can see you now. Great.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
All right. So quickly. Okay. So what I'll go to. So we're talking about entertainment. I want to dwell on the strength of the Urhobo nation in entertainment. What are the strengths that we have? I'll just list a few of them, and it is that we have strength in a proper history. We have history that is the bedrock of stories that we then tell to our people to create entertainment. We have festivals, though the Urhobo nation have in their own way killed the sharing of our entertainment value through festivals. I remember as far back as 1976, 1975, before 1977, that we went home and somebody was trying to record the Ekene festival in Agbara, and they beat the guy black and blue. Till today, we do not have photographs of Ekene festival because they felt there was no need to record that. You don't want the world to know what is there. You don't know. So our narratives were hidden. So we had such great values. We had folklores and all of that, but we did not share them. The other thing is that we do not also then have platforms that we would use to share all of these great talents that we have. A lot of our past leaders have paid more attention to political power than social economic power, social cultural power. And the problem with that is you then have a vacuum. And most people do not know the value of using entertainment to win victories. I'll tell you something. Insults, as negative as some people will see insults, the one Urhobo people call Eka, the kind of humor that goes into Eka and nicknames, Odova, will tell you that Urhobo nation is embedded in humor. We dwell in it. It is what gets us by. It is what we use to get over disappointment. It's what we use to get over pain and all of that. In fact, sometimes the names that we give to people as well in Urhobo land will make you know that we are good with humor. And it is one of those things that have become missing. Now, we also have the spoken word. The spoken word is not poetry as it is, but when you listen to people like the people that sit inside the Ekene and in different parts of Urhobo land, when you hear someone who is an orator speak, which is why you have the word of Otota, the name Otota. Otota is an MC, a toastmaster, a spokesman, an orator. And we value that so much that the Otota Rovie, the Otota of a clan, the Otota of a wedding, the Otota of a case, a Tota, all of these people hold the torchlight of our language, tradition, and culture and move it forward for us. But what we've done is that we've treated those areas like they are not important. And we are suffering from the consequences since that time. Ogwa, back in the days, like the halls, Ogwa is where people gather to share histories, to share stories. And so you had the people who come to tell you stories back in the days, and we don't have that anymore. And so I remember in 1974, when I first got back to the village to sit with the people in the palace, and they told me that, oh, in the evening, there's a man coming to tell us stories. I said, really? So we went there and we sat down, and the man came. All the children were sitting on the ground, and he said, Itaye, iye, Itaye, iye, and started telling this story from about like 8 p.m. till about 12 midnight. This same man, one man, was telling stories. We were all in stitches. What has happened is that such cultural practices have vanished from every part of Urhobo land that I know. That's one. We have dance. Dance is also a form of entertainment, and we do not have any of those anymore. We don't have any of all those on platforms that should help us spread it. We remember when we had Kasho Buddha, Igbe, and Uje, and Igbe, and Ema, and all those dances used to be very strong things that we look forward to, strong part of our cultures that we look forward to. What platforms do we have them now? We do not have them now. So most people, when you dance it sometimes at parties, people wonder, where did you get that move from? And I say, this is an Urhobo dance of so many years past. Now, our musical icons like San Young and all the Urhobo musicians, Omoko Moko, Okba, Aja, all of these people, and all the wonderful stories of the Udu, Ujeri, Okpara musicians, we do not have a place that even curates them. Have you heard that? And this, I'm not going to mention it. Have you heard that UPU has curated a museum or a library where some of all these musical albums have been kept? No, our culture is not so important. It's not front burner. What people want is political power. What people want is economic power. And because of that, we lost the value. Meanwhile, those are the things that actually entrench you and build you into the minds of different people. Let's move on to stunts. You see, do you know how much a lot of these stunt men get paid? We remember Otuege. Otuege was in Orogun land for birthdays, for weddings, for coronation, for everything. But how much of that continued? Otuege was a stunt man. There were acrobatics back in the days. We did not even continue with that because there were no platforms to take them to. We were more concerned about setting up political parties than setting up cultural centers, than setting up halls or cinemas to even educate our people. Like one question I asked one time, I said for literature is the way that the white people sold Christianity to us. What have we used to sell Urhobo to the new world? No, Urhobo magazines, Urhobo newspapers, and all of that are on sale. We do not even have our own people who are rich men place adverts in them so that those magazines can even survive. Literature, books. I'll tell you, we have professors. Our professors are thinking of how to become PhD holders, become rectors, become deans, become HODs, become professors, and earn more. But none of them wants to think about how to write novels like Wole Soyinka, like Femi Oshofison, like all of these people have written dramas that are now used in West African university, West African exams. And our people will read those ones, and you will then, the first time I read a play was Olarotimi. I read Olarotimi's plays. I read Wole Soyinka's plays. There were no Urhobo writers. How many poems do you know by heart that are from the Urhobo culture that depict our entertainment values and all of that? So we'll just leave that. I'm just mentioning some things so we can quickly go back to Uncle Peter. We have magic. We stopped having magic. I don't know if you remember those days in Ughelli Market, Boloko Market, and also you have Urhobo people who are selling drugs and all those things, but they bring magic to perform at those places just so that you can get your attention and sell their products. They will tell you, like there was one that said, what they da. And these are people who sell these things, and they have so much humor, and they wrap their products, the sales of their products, the marketing of all those kind of things. It is great. And some of all these things are things that we've abandoned totally. I'll tell you something. Now, an MC is an autota. What am I making money from in Lagos as an autota? The first time R&D took me out to places to go and work, he was MC. He wasn't, the places he introduced me to was because he was an MC at those places. And he was an autota in the English way, but introduced me to Lagos through being an MC. I'll move on again to another part, and it is our food and our beverages. These days you hear of egusi soup, you hear of this one, we do not, Delta Kitchen, thank God, Delta Kitchen now became an export for us. But there are places that you go to, you hear jollof rice, jollof rice, jollof rice. But you see, our own traditional food are not even as popular in places because they are rare. Nobody wants to go into them. Nobody is selling any of our traditional food, and the few people that sell it are not even supported. Let's even say, Urhobo Progressive Union says, because of this woman that owns Delta Kitchen, we will buy her 2 gas cookers and 2 freezers to keep her things because she's selling our culture. Those are the kind of ways that you help support the expansion and promotion of culture and entertainment. I'll come to our movies, cinemas, and the rest of them. If people in our sector go to anybody and tell them, oh, I need to shoot a movie, it will need, I will need about like 2 or 3 million to shoot that movie. There are Urhobo people that can put that money on the ground to shoot 10 movies in 4 years. They won't put it on the ground, but they can buy a brand new car that is about like 20 M. But that same person had bought the girl a brand new car of about 20 M, will come to talk to the youths to come and vote for him to win an election. Why not go and meet that girl that you bought the 20 million naira car for to come and vote for you? The other thing is you have, back in the days in Radio Bendel, we had something called Bendel Echoes. Bendel Echoes used to play traditional music back then. And then they had news in Urhobo. We have people who can build television stations across the Delta. Television stations and radio stations that play Urhobo music, play Urhobo entertainment, and even Urhobo dramas. So that people who are at home, who don't speak English, can act movies and play. We subtitle them. Now we have African Magic Igbo, African Magic Hausa, African Magic Yoruba. I swear, if there were people who were ready to sponsor plays and this, we will have content enough for DSTV to say African Magic Urhobo. Because we have the content, we have the materials, we can create it. Our people that were, in studying stand-up comedy, I found out that a lot of the people that were taken as slaves were taken through Ethiopia River to lead to Urhobo and sold into slavery. And all those people that were sold into slavery were the people that started jazz music. Because when they put them in the ship and carried them to different places, by the time they got there, they didn't understand the language of other people, but they could play music. And in playing the music, they didn't have songs. So they played for a long time, and they used stories to become the darlings of the owners of the farms, which is why you then had cases of folk tales and all that. Some of all those stories that our people went there to tell are things that are coming back to us as Madagascar, Lion King, and all of that stuff. Because Itaye is stories that our people went to tell that are now being sold back to us. There's a lot that we can do. The opportunities are great. And for art, Ibiokbo, the walking stick, there used to be a man in Ughelli who was carving miracles. He would carve lions, elephants, and all those things and be selling them. So everybody was very happy to hold a walking stick from the man in Ughelli. I think he was from Ubiaroko. But you see, all of these people are dead and gone. We do not know how to carry on our heritage. And I will stop here and say that there's a lot that we have to do, and we need to tell our people that it is not politics alone that gets us to high places. I did not use politics to get into the presidential villa. I didn't use the politics to get into South African presidential palace. I did not use politics to get into get the things that I have now. It was through entertainment, and we should begin to develop things in that regard. And I am open to any other question that can come. But remember that our fashion, our drama, our news, and the books and everything that we should do are things that we should use to sell Urhobo. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I hope I've not overrun my time. Thank you.
Yeah, you did great. Thank you very much, Ali Baba. That was spot on. In fact, if you watch the chat room, there's been some fireworks going on because you touched some very sensitive spots in your conversation. But I think the message is very clear that we have a rich catalog of entertainment elements, which is the message you're trying to portray, from dance to drama, storytelling, music, fashion, festivals, folklore, lifestyle, humor, intrigues, our insults, arts and food, cultural practices, sports, emceeing. I think that's the point you're trying to underscore, the fact that we have a rich cultural heritage. And we are so blessed that you actually unpacked it. Thank you very much. I'm going to bring...
And now that you mentioned that, let me just say one thing. I don't know if you remember that there used to be a wrestling tournament somewhere in Ugweru also.
Absolutely.
The people who wrestle in Ugweru, it is difficult for you to make their back touch the ground.
Yes.
But you see, we did not push that sport. Rubber seed that we used to play. I developed a rubber seed tournament one time and sold to the government. Government did not agree with it. I got a patent in Australia for it, got a patent in London for it, and in another 2 years, I'm having rubber seed international tournament in rubber seed.
Wow.
In rubber seed.
Wow.
That our people thought that it was nothing. We're going to have international, and we're building to see that it gets into the Olympics.
Wow. That's great.
But all we know is also become politicians. So that's all we know.
Thank you, my brother. Just hold on. We'll come back to you. Our big uncle is back on, Uncle Peter Ego. Uncle Peter, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Is your video on?
Yes.
Okay. So over to you.
See me?
To us. We can see you live and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry about the technical problems I'm having here. Apparently my connection is very weak and it keeps coming on and off. Yeah. But let me quickly thank my brothers, Ali Baba and RMD. They've done excellent jobs of what we are asked to do today. I have learned a lot from them, especially from their own experiences in terms of what we are going through now with the COVID-19 and the intrusions they have made on the industry. And of course, the rich analogies of what Ali Baba has talked about in terms of what the Urhobo culture is. But let me digress a bit. Let me move back a bit. I happen to be, unfortunately, not like Mofeda Mijo and Ali Baba who grew up at home. I belong to the Urhobos who were born in the Oburie, so there's the tendency to look at us as people who do not quite understand what Urhobo stands for. But that is part of the fundamental problem I find in being an Urhobo. Born in the north, grew up in the north, my Urhobos in Jos were a unique breed. Even though they were far away from home, they held meetings regularly and ensured that we, the children, were brought up to get to know what Urhobo stands for. And I didn't learn to speak Igbo or Hausa. I grew up speaking Igbo and Hausa. But my parents and the larger family in Jos ensured that we learned to speak Urhobo. And so every one of us who was born in Jos can speak and understand Urhobo fluently. I recall that when I went to university one time and I had a band, we had a band and I was singing a Urhobo song. And it was one of the
Hello, it looks like we lost Uncle Peter again. Yeah. Okay, I think he will come back. So I know that Rachel is here. Rachel, can you just send me a signal, Oniga? Now. Okay, so we have our sister. I think our big uncle, Uncle Peter, mentioned that he had some network challenges. So Rachel Oniga, we all know, is a veteran in the industry. And when I introduced her, I told you about some of the movies that she's acted. Her first movie was an Urhobo movie on Nome. So that tells you that she is true and true, an Urhobo thoroughbred, and on Abu Jurobo Mamo. Rachel is one that we're all proud of. And we want to say thank you very much, Rachel. So can you make your presentation before we get back to Peter, and then let's go ahead with the interaction.
Yeah, Urhobo, good evening, everybody. Me, Mama, Ipakume, I say I'm highly honored to be part of this seminar, and I'm really, really happy. I've listened to what from what RMD has presented, what is said, and what Alibaba has equally said. There are, notes that we have to, hold dearly and try and see the solutions to most of these things that they've put forward, especially what Alibaba has said, about our culture, the thing and other, about our music, about people not even showing interest in the entertainment industry, especially the Urhobos in the entertainment industries. People who are well off, who are well placed, they are not coming in to invest in the industry. Like you have the Igbos, the Yorubas, and other tribes. Now you have the Kaliwood, the Calabar people, the Hausas, and all that. And in actual fact, entertainment, when you talk about entertainment, the movie, comedy, and music, it's all was evolving around people from Delta, especially the Urhobos. When you had movies in the early 90s, even mid 80s, it's all around Urhobo names and all that. Just of a sudden, the Igbos, they've taken over and you have them on their DSTV. So, on the DSTV. So, what do we do to rectify all this? The most important thing now for us, we can identify where things have gone wrong. What is the solution? What is the way forward? Like the COVID, what we are trying to talk about, it has presented a lot of hardship, especially in the entertainment industry. I just have to be very brief about building resilience entertainment industry in a COVID environment. Like we all know, COVID-19 has taught the arts and entertainment world that we cannot continue to go on as we have. While many industries have been hit hard, arts and culture has been destroyed because government relief benefits and subsidies for COVID across the world haven't nearly taken into account the erratic nature of the entertainment industry. It makes it very difficult for entertainers to do their work the way they should, because with the restriction on movements and what have you, it's very difficult for you to, put together rehearsals, reading of scripts, and to be able to produce large-scale productions that can even treat, topics and treat stories properly. But we have no option. We are trying our best to do short movies, to do, low-cast productions, and we are trying our best to make sure that even for the mere fact that they are low-cost projects, we still make sure that we come up with the and something presentable. Well, today a lot have been said. Alibaba has said a lot, RMD2 has said a lot, but what can we do? In the obvious absence of government palliative and subsidies for the entertainment business, the only option is for donors, agencies to give grants to the entertainment business to ensure that practitioners can practice their trade, take advantage of the minimal online opportunities available to make a living. Like if we have rules, we know we have, people who can do today, like I said, a lot has been said. I will only want to quickly touch on how to encourage our youth who wants to come into the industry. How do we encourage them? It's like what I'm going to talk about is like unlocking the creativity, innovation, potentials of the youth in the entertainment industry, particularly where it concerns the Urhobo youths. Among young people are potential philosophers, artists, writers, entrepreneurs, craftsmen, women, people who can create, those who can constitute, who will continue Urhoboland's cultural rich and unique traditions. Although support is needed in the current situation, it is also an investment in Urhoboland's human and cultural capital. The argument, therefore, is not about, changing young people because they are alleged lacking in the cause of unemployment. Instead, the emphasis is on their potential contribution to improvements in social and economic conditions of Urhoboland. Personally, I will recommend a systematic, sustained, and coordinated action to significantly enhance the creative and innovative capacities of the young people in ways that are relevant to employability. How do we achieve this? We know that a lot of young people, they have formal education, some they don't know the four walls of the schools, but they have the potentials. They are very creative. How do we encourage these people in the entertainment industry, especially like what we have in the among the actors, like in the cinema, the movies and all that? We can encourage those who are not even skilled, those who don't even have formal education. We can encourage them to do, other jobs apart from acting, where you need to use your brain, you need to read scripts and all that. The young Urhobo people who are interested in the entertainment industry, we can make them, advise them, talk to them so that they can do other jobs like you have the crews. A lot of them can, become crew members. They can learn lighting. Some can, you don't even actually need to go to the university or what have you to become a cameraman. A lot can be learned, on the job. So we should start encouraging our youths to come on board, those who really want it. And we should not limit ourselves to having people just in the cities. I think RMD made mention, or was it Alibaba, that most of these the movies or the film, most of them, they come out through the cities. Like you have Lagos, you have Hollywood, you have Bollywood and all that, Cairo and what have you. We don't only have to be in the centers, in the cities. We can go to the interior, the remote areas. Like everybody knows, if we are talking about the Delta, the South, you know that the Urhobos are gifted. They are gifted entertainers. If you are not an actor, you can be a town crier, you can be a musician and what have you. So we should make them realize the fact that they don't actually need to go to the four walls of the schools before they can become someone in life. Most importantly, Alibaba said it, we need investors to come on board and help. This is where we need them. And by so doing, we can make the whole world know about who we are, what's the Urhobo, what we stand for. The only medium we can sell out our culture, our tradition, tell the whole world who we are, is by television, the screen, online. A lot of young people now, they sell things online. They come out with little skits. They come online and they are making little money online and all that. That's the only way. They need support. Finance is what is very, very key. I thank you all for listening to us, and I pray that after this talk, we can have our people come on board and assist, encourage. If people of our age, if we leave the scene, the young ones coming up, we can't make them happy. We've gone to
Okay, thank you very much, Sister Rachel Oniga. Thank you for your comments and also for the insight that you have shared. I think we are very grateful to you. I think our Uncle Peter Ego is back. So I don't know if you can hear me, so I can bring him on quickly and then say your, give your remarks, and then we can have some quick interactions. Uncle P, are you there? Hello, sir. Uncle Peter. Yeah, can you speak? We can see you, or we can't hear you. Okay, your audio is being connected. Okay. Let me. Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead, Uncle P. Unmute, can you unmute your mic? Yes.
I don't know how much of what I said earlier was heard.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead. We heard you.
Well, okay. Oh, okay. Well, as I started by saying, I commended Mufeda Mijo for the issue that he raised and some of the points he made about the difficulties in the entertainment industry. And of course, Alibaba was full of Urhobo areas that we have ignored to our own peril. But let me take a little look at an Urhobo born outside Urhobo land. And because I want to look at the Urhobo nation in its entirety. And for me, the fundamentals that confront the youth or Urhobos in general. One, who are we? Who are we? Where are we? What language do we speak? What are those things that are unique to us, that are different from others? Take language. I was born in Jos, and growing up in Jos, our parents forced us to speak Urhobo. We grew up speaking Hausa and Igbo, but Urhobo, our parents insisted that we speak Urhobo. And that's how come I can speak Urhobo fluently and sing and dance, whatever in Urhobo. But I also found out that among the Urhobos, looking at us from the outside, we are not careful about the narratives that we tell our children. I know that coming from the north to go to Urhobo land for the first time, I was told, Jo Mabuto, Wode Tobu Robona, Ereda, Boboyo, Warrior and all that. So they painted frightening images of home. So that many of us, in fact, years later, when I had moved my father home, my mother home, built houses for them, and built my own house, I couldn't move into my house. I was always sleeping, running from Kokori to go back to Wari, because deep down in the back of my mind, all those stories about the Iriebe and the had filled my mind. My wife, who is Yoruba, was one who said, "Why are you scared?" And she moved there, stayed in Kokori for 3 days and said, "I'm still here and alive." That's how come I went and slept in Kokori for the first time, and I never turned back since then. And I came to love the place and all that. So the narratives that we tell each other about ourselves are not good for the youth. 3, most of the time also, there's that narrative that the Urhobos do not stand for each other. I bought that each other. So wherever you go, don't waste your time going to look for a Urhobo person, because he will not help you. These are the narratives that are out there. And many of the youth are confronted by this kind of narrative. And Therefore, many of them, and there are lots of them, the RMDs, the Alibabas, most of the Urhobo youth have succeeded in spite of being members of the Urhobo nation. They have been out there fighting, and a lot of, we're talking about resilience. They have built up their resilience that has come from knowing that you have no godfather. You have no one you can call when you need assistance. The Igbo man, like Rachel said, Igbo trader will walk to the next shed and say, now, the Igbo trader would walk to his neighbor and say, add some 2 million naira, can you go to my business? He will give it to him. But how many Urhobos can you go to approach to do that for you? So the narrative about ourselves that we even tell our own children and tell our own are negative. So from the very beginning, we are fated from the start. For those of us who came from, who didn't grow up at home, who had to come and begin to see gingerly step into Urhobo land, I came to find out that a lot of what they told me about Urhobo land are not true. In fact, some of these stories of wizards and witches, I wrote essays about them when I was in primary school and secondary school, and won awards from them. Like Ali Baba said, most of the stories of witchcraft and wizardry that you hear from Britain and all that, they've turned into major movies that have reaped billions and billions and billions. So we must, while we're talking about resilience for the youth, I made this a little diversion because I want us to know that it is not all well in the minds of the youth about the Urhobo nation. Our language is slowly dying away. We are not encouraging that oneness or the need to help each other. I recall that when I got home and I was burying my mother, I went to the primary school next to the field where all the parties were held. We build big canopies, we bring big bands, we bring people down, we bring caterers. And the young boys in their tattered clothes, in their school that is all torn and tattered, are watching us. We finish the feasting, then we go away and leave them in their penury. When it rains, they go back to their classrooms that are all torn, with roofs all torn. They cannot stay in the classrooms when it rains. And I watched all that and I asked, where is all the oil money that comes from Kokori, where I come from? Where are all the big names that we hear about? How come these young children are going to classrooms that are all torn, dilapidated, about 80 of them in one classroom, with desks that are all broken and all that? I then said, okay, please, let me see what I can do. And I asked, can I do something for the primary school? They told me it belongs to government. You cannot touch it. You have to get permission from government. I said, but I want to do something, and I'm not taking anything away. It took a year before they got permission from government for me to build a block of classrooms. I built a block of 4 classrooms. That's all the space they gave me. And when I was building the place and I put long span, POP, and all modern facilities in the classroom, and I was building the toilet, there was only one toilet for the whole school. Bent down to that was blocked, built by NMPC and Shell, that had been blocked. And I built a block of 6 toilets for the teachers, for the headmaster. He had his own, the deputy headmaster had his own. But when I was going to put the flush toilet, some people came to me to say, why are you putting it for these small children? They are all, they will damage them. And I said, well, let them damage them. Let them learn to use them from this age. Because we have been sending wrong signals to all these young children. We come with all our riches, flaunt our riches in their present and in their fronts. Then we go away. And when these boys now carry guns and go into the streets to kidnap and all that, we blame them. Meanwhile, we have shown them that nobody cares for them. So these are the fundamentals or the background of Urhobo that I think that we should address. While we're talking about this, the grown-up ones have taken, they know how to take care of themselves, they know how to build that resilience. They've been out there, they're at the war front, they've seen what is happening. And they now realize that they have nobody. So I'm glad, one of the reasons why I'm so happy about your group is the fact that you are now coming back to say, yes, we have people who care. We have people who are anxious to change the narrative to something positive. We have people who now can say, yes, let us begin to address who we are and how we can face topical issues. I belong to a group in Abuja called Urhobo Leadership Forum. And one of the things I told them was that no group, no nation can move forward until it knows its own history and is aware of who they are and where they come from and where they want to go to. So they now say, okay, well, since you've studied, you now do a documentary on the Urhobos. So we have taken that as a project to do a documentary series on the Urhobos. And the moment we started that, my eyes opened because I've got through to the Urhobo Historical Society, the president in the US, and he led me to over 20 professors who have stories to tell, who have written books. And Alibaba talked about no books have been written. Many have written. They are all lying there in the library in Urhobo land. And we have to tell our stories. And it is from those books and stories that we, the artists, can begin to be creative, to begin to pull out what Alibaba and Mofeda Bijo have talked about. Fortunately, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Those professors have written so much about Urhobos that we have a rich trove of now material that we're going to begin to use to begin to tell our own story. Make us proud of our language, make us proud of our culture, make us proud of those things that are. I speak Urhobo, Igbo, and Hausa, but yet, among all the languages that I speak, about 7 of them, none touches me like the Urhobo language. None reverberates in my mind, none brings out my creative juices like Urhobo language. I was telling Dr. Benson, and this is a little vulgar, that in Jos, when we did wrong, the imagery of the abuse that they used to abuse us was such that it's difficult to translate that into English. I recall that one time when they thought we were too young and we were running around looking after young girls, one of our aunties called us and said, "Hey, I cannot imagine any imagery so vivid." And that's what Urhobo language stands for. When the song I tried to sing earlier on, ona kikuru akpọ m ike egbe nene ona kikuru mọta egbedekede rọkparọ pari egburie òtúrẹ lẹbẹlúre mi gbèrè o òkú ọfọgìrì yọbọ òrùwẹ òròpí bẹẹfì mọọmẹ sọdọ asami nobuko ìdọdọlá kagini stakio ọkẹrẹ gẹrọ sọrọ. Our songs are vivid. The imagery is incredible. So we have a rich trove in our language and our culture to take advantage of. It is bringing, like Rachel says, what is the solution? One, we must take pride in ourselves. Urhobo is an incredible nation. Urhobo nation is an incredible nation. And I take it from me because I have studied other nations. Two, we must begin to push forward positive narrations about ourselves. Three, this issue of each man for himself, we must begin to learn to work together wherever you are. Find out which other Urhobos are there. Build a platform, build a network, and you'll be surprised. And don't believe always the negative things they tell you. Find out where they are, who they are, go up to them. You'll be amazed. 1 or 2, maybe 2 out of 10 may answer, and the result will be something positive. 5, we must begin to build up our financial and economic strength. A lot of what is happening now is that many of the Urhobos are in penury. If you look at the Delta State today, I don't know how many Urhobos, businessmen or otherwise, can boast of the kind of monies that we hear the Dangotes, the $10 and co have. We no longer have them. The future for us would have to be our entertainers. I won't be surprised when tomorrow Alibaba makes it with the plans he has. Same with the RMD. There's a lot, like Benson had said, in the entertainment industry is worth over 5 billion and more. We must tap into it. A few years back, because I realized that the Urhobo entertainers are disadvantaged. They are disadvantaged, and because each time they have a creative idea, they have to cross the Niger to go to Igbo traders to be able to get funding. And that is why, wherever you go, that's why the Igbo channel came first on DSTV. Because the Igbos put their money where their mouth is. I approached the Delta State government and wrote a proposal saying that over 80% of the people in the entertainment industry come from Delta State, whether it's in music, whether it's in comedy, whether it's in acting, whether it's in producing, whether it's in directing, over 80%. And that Delta State must take ownership of that industry. I sent this proposal. We had a series of meetings, and that proposal was such that if it was done and a foundation was created, any Urhobo child does not have to go and beg any Igbo person or Hausa person to produce a movie. If you have an idea, you approach the foundation and say, I have this idea. There's a body set up by the foundation to vet your idea. Once it is approved, whatever resources you want will be given to you. You will be given partner hotels will be allocated to you. Equipment will be given to you to produce, on condition that at least 80% of your cast and crew must come from Delta State. Now, that has not been taken advantage of. So I must begin to now truncate down now to Urhobo and say, amongst us, if we're able to set up that foundation and we can accept revenues to that foundation from all over. My son shot a small clip, took it to the Bank of Industries. They looked at his clip, it was good enough, and they gave him 30 million to do that. And Bank of Industries formed foundations like that. So we can begin now to look at, I'm glad that Benson mentioned to me that one of the things you're doing is also setting up avenues to raise finance to support not just the entertainment, but agriculture, our people in all the other fields of endeavor. That is one of the biggest fundamentals of Modu. No matter how much grammar we speak, no matter what we do, if we do not have the economic power to empower our youth, then we'll continue to have issues of kidnapping, issues of criminality. Let me quickly summarize. We are a wonderful nation. We have a wonderful people, but we must first know who we are. I am just hearing names of great robots from this webinar. When I spoke to the historians, I got to know so many wonderful big professors out there in the diaspora. And I know that we are everywhere in the world. Who are they? How do I access them? We must begin to set up a platform where we can begin to put, wherever you are, whoever you're doing, put that name on that platform so that we can begin to know where we are and how to reach each other. Once we have that thread, too, and we can also then begin to set up avenues for revenue to come, to trickle down. I can assure you that all these issues of criminality and immorality will stop. Very quickly to showcase this, when I was general manager in NTA Enugu, the governor called me and said, the presidential hotel next to government house, he was always ashamed to pass there because every night the streets are littered with prostitutes. And I told him, Your Excellency, you can stop that. And he said, how? I said, allow me to pass the word around that Enugu will be the capital for production. Any producer who comes to produce his movie in Enugu, you'll give him, put him up in a presidential hotel, 50% rebate. Your cultural troupe will perform for them. You can use them as they like at no charge. When that happened, within 6 months, not one single prostitute was on the street of that street. Many of them were now happy to make money on their legs rather than on their backs. And this is what the industry does. The multiplier effect of the movie industry on the entertainment industry is humongous. If you gave an artist 5 million naira to produce a movie, and he stayed in Ughelli to produce that movie, the woman who sells food will benefit from it, the hotel man will benefit from it, the taxi driver will benefit from it, the tailors will benefit from it, and that 5 million will be spread to so many people. So the multiplier effect is so humongous. That's why the entertainment industry is one of the biggest employers of labor worldwide. We must not lose that opportunity. We can make it. We have made it in the past. A few of us who have struggled and struggled on our own have made it, so it can be done. There's no magic about it. It just requires us thinking as a nation that plans. We must know that and learn from other tribes what they do that is positive. A friend of mine, a rich friend, years back when I was in the NCA, called me to say, Peter, please help me set up a company. And I want to production company. And I said, okay, fine. I'll help you, all the mechanics of doing that. And I said, who do you want to be employed? He said, I don't really mind. You choose who's going to be the chief executive. But at least 90% of people in that company must come from the north. And I said, well, the north, he said, it doesn't matter. Anywhere in the north, as long as they are northerners, employ them in that company. That's the way they think. We must also begin to think like that. How many of our companies do we employ our own people? When we are in positions of power, how do we help our own people to help, rather than just thinking of ourselves? Because it is those ones that you help to give jobs to, who tomorrow will also give jobs to other people, that can begin to create that multiplier effect that can bring revenue and industry to our own people. Let us emulate what other people are doing and do it better. We can do it. We have the talent, we have the creativity. When all that, we can put in place all these things that can motivate all of them. The issue of resilience, I can assure you that it's inbuilt in us. No matter what you throw in our faces, Delta know they carry that, Urhobo know they carry last. We will find a solution. We will know how to get rid of them. COVID, yes, has truncated so many of our things, but creativity is also there. A movie has just been shot in a room in the UK with no big cameras, a major movie that's now on Netflix, shot within the COVID. So we must understand the environment which we are. We must understand that COVID has come and truncated our lives, and must begin to know the implications of it and learn how to override those disturbances. I have no doubt that as we are going forward, the talent is there, the creativity is there, and once the spirit, and knowing now that we have a nation that can support us, a nation that thinks of its people like you are doing now, a nation that can say, yes, so we have our people. Because it is when and there's nothing selfish about that. You build up the small one, then you can go to the larger one. We build a bigger nation if the smaller units are working well. So if the Urhobo nation works well, that's good for Delta, that's good for Nigeria. So what I'm saying does not negate being a good Nigerian. It's just simply been that being a good Urhobo makes you a better Delta and a better Nigerian. So let's look at that top first, Urhobo first. Let us see how, and each of us ask ourselves as we go along, how many have I touched? We've heard about how many people RMB has touched. We've heard about how many people Rachel has touched. We've heard about how many people Alibaba has touched. Each one touch one person. One traditional ruler in Urhobo called me and said, if you give me 100,000 naira every year, I can give scholarship to about 5 children. And I've done that, and over 50 children have been taught by just 100,000 naira a year. So let's begin to do that. The school I built in Kokori and the things I bought that I give to them free of charge. Every day I get texts from small children. Daddy, thank you very much. Nobody thinks about all. When I was building, the people were asking me, are you a politician? And I said, I don't have to be a politician to do what I'm doing. I decided to do that in memory of my own mother, in memory of all the wonderful things she told me about Urhobo land, and that I finally come to find out that a lot of what she told me about Urhobo is true. They are wonderful people. They are great people. They are very creative people. Urhobo Binyeri.
Hey, Uncle P, Negwa, thank you very much. Elucidating, insightful, great presentation, and your passion for Urhobo is highly appreciated. We want to say a big thank you to you for coming through today, and for Uncle Peter is not very strong today, but he said against all odds he would join us today. So we want to say a big thank you to you. And for honoring us with your presence. There's a quick poll we're going to poll now. I just want you to answer the poll and let us know what are the biggest challenges to the growth of the entertainment sector in Urhobo land. And then I would go into an interaction quickly with our speakers. And then after that, we'll round up the session. Okay, so there's a poll that is going on now right on your screen. It's multiple answers, so you can answer more than one. You can answer and choose as many as you can that you think are the challenges with the entertainment sector in Urhobo land. So just quickly vote. We are over 100 here, and we have about 30 seconds left to vote. So quick, as you see it on your screen, just quickly vote.
One glass.
Keep voting, keep the votings coming. We are about 50% that have voted already. Okay. %. We are now going to about 60% of people voting. So answer the question as you see it on your screen. All right. Keep it coming. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now and show you the results of the poll, just so you see what people have said. Okay, so this is the result showing on your screen. Clearly, one thing we've agreed is that capital is not our biggest challenge. There are two major challenges that face the entertainment sector in Urhobo. Number one is leadership failure. Number two is insufficient mentorship and role modeling. We also have lack of capital and access to fund as a challenge. Also, we have things like inadequate government support, lack of determination to start, sabotage. But we've all agreed that we are not lacking talent in Urhobo. That's interesting. Dearth of talent is 0%. It therefore means that we are not lacking talent in Urhobo. That means we are blessed with potentials and great talent in Urhobo. So we're going to go into interaction, and I'm going to ask our first, our lady, the only female here, Rachel, to speak to us around the issue on mentorship and role modeling. So the question is, Rachel, I know you've spoken about, what we can do, to drive growth in Urhobo. In terms of your thoughts on mentoring and modeling, what do you think we can do as Urhobo to ensure that we have the right models and that we are able to inspire ourselves, in Urhobo? So I don't know if Rachel can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, while Rachel is dealing with that, let me call on Richard Mufedamijo, our keynote speaker, to address the issues of role modeling and coaching. What do we need to do, to address? Rachel, can you hear me? Can you unmute your mic?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
great.
me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
it's like it's an abacadabra. I told you I was on set, so I had to quickly change. Yeah,
yes.
I know we have a lot of people in the industry that our youths or the upcoming can look up to. We are there, we are doing our best with regards to that. What we actually need in the industry, what we need from our people, the well-meaning Urhobo people, just come out, support the industry. If you support us, with our culture will be out there. We have a very rich culture, great heritage that we can put. The only way to sell out or to sell to the outside world who you are, the people you are, what you stand for, is through this medium, and we go a long way. We are always ready to assist the young ones, especially those of us who are names in the industry, be it footballers or sculptors or what have you. All are entertainers. So these people, role models are there. We just need sponsors. We just need people to come up and support us. That's all. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Richard Mufe Damijo, our brother. I think you need to talk about this, maybe throw some light on role modeling and coaching. What can we do to, the question is, how many RMDs do we have in the Urhobo? You have been a resounding success over the age. What do we need to do to replicate more of the RMDs to strengthen and empower our young people, in times like this? Yes.
Well, I do a lot of mentorship. I have a lot of young people that are under my wing or my wings that I mentor. I'm also glad to report that people that I have mentored in the past are continuing the tradition of mentoring people. Alibaba, thank you for mentioning that earlier on. So because of how of changing attitudes and also the evolution of technology and all of that, mentorship today doesn't have to be the traditional way of mentorship where you have to sit in front of me and then I will instruct you, or you will ask questions, I will answer, or you will spend an entire day with me or a month or whatever. These days, just looking at somebody who is successful in the area or in the field of endeavor that you choose is enough mentorship. For instance, Uncle Pete, Peter Ego has been a mentor of mine for all these years. I didn't have to meet him for his life to speak to me. As a young actor, just seeing his name in some of the best programs that NTA was producing at the time was all I needed to say that, look, when I grow up, as I advance in this business, I want my name to be up there like that of Peter Ego. So that is what, ironically, that is what people who get with the program are doing. I mean, I'm on Instagram, I'm on social media. I have like 1.8 million followers right now. And I have a lot of people who say, look, I want to be like you. And I always reply and say, no, I want you to be greater than me, because if you are just like me, then there is no progress. So you should aspire to be bigger, to be greater than me. Shoyinka is one of my biggest role models as well. And I didn't have to meet him before he became my role model or before he became my mentor. Because I improved myself and I wanted to get to the point where he was, or that he could notice me in life, I did get to that point where he noticed me and I worked with him. And today, if he sees me anywhere, he will acknowledge me. That is the kind of thing that, but in also recognizing that there are a lot of people who might be timid and who are held back, more held back than others. I'm going to start in conjunction with another Urhobo young man who owns a TV platform called Nevada Bridge TV. We are going to start a mentorship program that I will actually be mentoring a class every week. So we'll have a live audience. They will ask questions. It's more of mentoring people through what life has taught me, what I have learned, and what I think, what I see, and all of that. I taught Sunday school for over 16 years, almost 18 years. So it is something that I do. I love to teach, and I'm constantly teaching and mentoring people. You don't have to stand in my face for me to be your mentor. But as much as possible, those who follow me, when they ask questions, I answer, and all that. I think mentorship is key because there are not very many mentors out there. Also, just to also note that there are a lot more people who are not interested in the process of growth. They are more keen in looking for shortcuts and making money. Unfortunately, if you are looking for quick money, I'm not the man for you, because that needs to be said out there. When I spoke earlier and I talked about the virus that has been hitting us long before COVID, the virus is very bad. It is a failure. We have been existing in a broken system. The education is like at zero level. Morality is at zero level, and so everybody is just like looking for the shortest cut to wealth and then getting out of the trap of poverty that they all find themselves.
Thank you very much, RMD, and I think you are spot on. One of the biggest viruses is really around character. We've seen over and over again. One of the things that we have seen over the decade is that for people like yourselves, Uncle P, Alibaba, Rachel, and others, there's been consistency and character. And today, our young generation, they are not patient enough to go through that process. So I'm going to bring in Alibaba to talk to us around the process. What do we do to generate that interest in terms of our people, our young people, being patient to, go through that process. You have been a professional and one who continues to emphasize the need for process, paying attention to the process and ensuring that you are diligent while going through the act. So I'd like you to speak to our young people who are listening to you about process and why we must pay attention to excellence as a value which will help us achieve greatness.
You see, I was watching when this man was given his Walk of Fame, Snoop Doggy Dogg. And Snoop Doggy Dogg, after doing all the thanks, he said, "But lastly, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for being there. I want to thank me for listening to advice. I want to thank me for going through the process. I want to thank me for doing this. I want to thank me for doing that." What we need to tell our youth is that in the end, it is you. In the end, it is you. It is not anybody else. If you write an exam and you don't pass, you failed. If you drink and get drunk and then drive and have an accident, you had an accident. You died. Your dreams died. Everything that you do is you. So we need to begin to tell our youth and tell our there's a greater good out there. But above all, it is that the biggest problem that we have, and I've said this over and over again, is that the problem our youths have is a problem of foundation. Our foundations are not strong enough for the children to make them aspire to be a lot more. How is our foundation not strong enough? If a child does not know how to read from the age of 3, in fact, from the age of 1.5 to age of 5 and 6, when they get into primary school, they'll be disillusioned. Only a child that is keen on succeeding no matter what will make it. Because what happens is that we let our children miss out the foundation. So they can't read or write. You go to schools, you find children who are in JSS 3, SS3, SS. In fact, some of them are in universities, they can't read. And then we have schools that have teachers that need to be taught. All of these people need to have proper training and proper, if UPU takes it upon themselves, I said, Urhobo Teacher Training College in Ewu, we need to do something about it. Our teachers must know how to teach and give strength to these children, educational strength, so that these children can go out there and face the world. What we have are people who are not prepared. They are not empowered with any tool. The first tool we'll give to our children to become great is education. And once they have that education, they can aspire to be anything else in the world. Second thing is that the fact that they are not educated means that they cannot even appreciate policies or anything that you do. And that's when they have that mindset of who succeed no matter what. That is when they then become buyable. That is when they then begin to be the tools in the hands of people who want to change an election result, who want to snatch ballot boxes or do things that are not necessary. We need to begin to teach our children the ability to read and write. Most of our teachers, I have a cousin that is a teacher in a secondary school. She can't chat on WhatsApp. I have a cousin that can't chat on WhatsApp, but what they take off when they're doing now, made time on a GC damini, I didn't want. Right now, ofo ina voix ne obo yomini oye emona bi school I yonebe I didn't yonebe I didn't want no eta ne jatana kike shebio but bebo na yonebe some of them don't even know. So you have somebody who is not educated, he now has 4 children, and so he doesn't have money to even educate those 4 children. The 4 children become a responsibility plus his wife, and then most times they then now move on to have like 3 more children, and those ones also don't get educated. How do those children then succeed? They become the responsibility of the overall society. And so if they're not contributing to the society, they're minors. We need to begin to tackle everything from the beginning. Let's not even begin to deal with the things from university level or when they've come out. We need to begin to teach our children how to read and write. And then when they know how to read and write, how did they get Christianity to us? They knew that they needed us to read. They printed the Urhobo Bible. They infiltrated us with an Urhobo Bible because they knew that that is how to get the religion to these people. Because if they can't read English, they must read the Urhobo. So above all, we need to begin to restructure our training process. We need to devote time to the foundation. The foundation of education is the only thing that can get our children out of the problems that we have.
Once again, spot on. Great conversation. Education is the bedrock, and I think that you are very, very spot on that. I'll go back to our keynote speaker, Richard Mufedamijo, to ask you to unmute your mic because there are questions that have come to you during this conversation. One of the questions that people are asking is that, in terms of the leadership challenge, we've talked about leadership. If you look at the poll that we've just done now, it wasn't capital or liquidity or access to funds, but leadership was number one. So the real question is that what is it with leadership? I know that we have one of our leaders, our political leaders here. I would ask him to speak shortly, but from your own understanding of the leadership challenge, what should we do differently and how do we rise to the occasion to solve this challenge? Because it's like the biggest problem we have across Urhoboland.
Well, for me, it is quite simple. There's no intellectualizing the subject. It is leadership that is not responsible to the people that they are leading. And this is not a buck stopping on your table. First place at which you function. It is about being selfless to the point of denying self first before you even begin to talk about yourself. Now, with leadership, what has happened across Urhoboland is one of extreme selfishness. It's a me generation. It is a me, myself, and I kind of leadership. So that when you now find people that are selfless, they are like aberrations. They are like complete aberrations. I have a problem personally in talking about my charity. I don't advertise my charity, but I'll just use this as a case in point. When I was in government, a young man who was the president of my community more or less brought me into the community and introduced me to the community and made me understand some of the needs of the community. He was the community president, and all through these times that he was showing me what I needed to do, what the community lacks, and all the things that he never turned around one day to say to me, Commissioner, give me this or give me that. He never asked for anything for himself. I went ahead and bought engine boats. That's the engine boats for the community. Built canoe for the community to as a source of income for the community and all of that. When I did that and I gave it to my community, they were asking me, I should publicize it, I should call it. I said, that is not the point. Now, the bigger point about about this example is the fact that until date, this young man, he's no longer the community president of my community, but he is still like my best friend when it comes to anything that has to do with my community. They know today that in my village, if you want me to do anything, you just go and meet this young man called Dennis. And if Dennis calls me and tells me, Ose, this thing that we are doing is genuine, is good, come, I will come. There's something that my wife and I would do every time, every Christmas or every year. And I started it after government. We started giving out food to the people and all that. And during this COVID, we decided that, you know what, there's no point in giving food. There are people who don't have money to buy stuff and all of that. So we decided to share money. Again, we did 5,000 to widows and women with young babies. It was this same guy that I called, that my wife and I called. I called him and I said, you know what, this is what we want to do. We want to give give monies to people, you know, but I trust that you, if it's under your supervision, you do it well. So what we are lacking in Urhobo land is like what Uncle Peter said about the narrative that we sell to, you know, about witches being at home, and everything, you know, you know, or things like that they will say to you. But I have been to my village too, where as I am doing this, people are calling me and saying, don't give to those people. Those are the people that will use your own money to harm you. And I'm saying to them, I am above harm. What I'm doing I feel a lot more elevated than the people I'm giving it to. That in comedy that Alibaba and Co. they will say that when you have the kind of money that Adenuga has, a witch cannot kill you. You know, so we make fun about things like that. But to answer your question and to just make it as blasé as possible, it is leadership. The leadership question in Urhobo land is one of selfishness. The leaders are not responsible. They don't feel any sense of responsibility to the people who they are leading, and they are all very and terribly selfish. Until that can change, until we have leaders that truly and genuinely care about their communities and will spend, you know, their hard-earned money to be able to help their communities, because there are people in their communities who are not in any way as good as they are. That is when we will begin to see, you know, some kind of response from our communities and see leadership that really and truly speaks to the people.
Absolutely spot on. The leadership challenge is on, and I like the fact that the real solution is for us to be exemplary. Talk is cheap, and we are gifted talkers in Urhobo land. And I think that the foundation of what you said is that we must demonstrate leadership by example and lead ourselves. What you find is that most of our leaders can't even lead themselves, talk less of leading others. And I think that it's a very important point you've raised. I'm going to bring Uncle Peter Ihu back. Uncle, you're spot on now. You can unmute your mic so that we can speak to you. People are asking you that when you were in the NTA, you were a rallying point for Urhobos, and that currently, after your tenure, you know, you can unmute your mic. You know, since you left the NTA, I know you are into consultancy. Uncle P, can you unmute your mic, please? Okay, yeah, I can see that. Now you are into, yes, your mic is unmuted. You are now into your consultancy. Now you were a rallying point. Someone like RMD, Rachel Oniga, Alibaba, they've talked about, you know, how you have supported them while you were in power or in position. Now that was strategic collaboration. We do not have that kind of collaboration as it was. What can we do to strengthen collaboration amongst our entertainers in Urhobo land, bridge the gap between the young and the old?
Well, I think that first let me commend Richard for a lot of things that he said, and whatever the small part I played in his phenomenal success. And same with Alibaba. There's so much my generation and the generation of Alibaba and whatever. There's a lot of mutual respect. And I recall, I'll give you an example. My son, when he was going to shoot his movie, 7, he asked me when he was casting, and I asked him, who do you want to use in your movie? And he said, Daddy, number 1 is RMD. And who else? I said, well, 1 Urhobo is not enough. Add 1 more Urhobo to get, and he said, okay, who else? And then that's how come we got Daddy Shoki. And to be very honest, I was very impressed because he gave me incredible reports of how supportive RMD and the 2 of them were to him. He's a young boy. I mean, he's like a child to them. But they gave him that support, they gave him the respect as the director and the producer of the movie, and guided him along as in what he did. They mentored him on location. Now that is the kind of you see from one generation to another, another generation to another. So this is the kind of relationship and cooperation that we want. No matter who you are, if you think that somebody else within your community, which is the Urhobo Nation now, will enhance what you're doing, or give that opportunity to them to do that. I recall that one of the things I said I haven't done is I've done dramas depicting variety parts of Nigeria. We've done Things Fall Apart, which is Igbo.
Okay, I think that our Uncle P has gotten out of the network. I'm going to ask Honorable Francis Waive to unmute his mic and also respond this leadership question in Urhobo. How do we resolve it, and what are your thoughts around it in terms of the leadership question? Because everything rises and falls on leadership, and I know that you're one of the leaders in Urhobo that we are proud of, and you have been part of this whole process from the word go. So I want you to respond in terms of what your thoughts are around leadership. We can hear you. Francis.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother Benson, for your kind words and for this intervention for our people. Leadership. First, my desire is that our first 11 should present themselves. Our first 11 should present themselves. Too many of our very qualified, skilled, and patriotic people stay back for whatever reason. And that is not good enough. People like Uncle Peter, Igor, we're talking about now, there's no reason why he should not present himself for UPU leadership as the present tenure of the President ESCO comes to an end. He has what it takes. Age is on his side. He's well connected in the country. He's well known. He's educated, and he's not a beggar. So these kind of people should come forward for leadership. That's the first suggestion. Our first 11 should come forward. And where they are not voluntarily coming forward, our people should, who know such people, should urge them on, encourage them on, not just for UPU leadership, for political positions, for leadership in different sectors of the economy. And listening to Ali Baba today, I didn't know, we were in school in Ekpoma, but I didn't know he grew up at home and knew a lot of these things. I think he's a Lagos boy. So I'm surprised that he can speak Urhobo well. And he knows all those things about Twege and that man who was selling stuff at William Market. But I'm a pastor, so I won't talk about what he said the man was talking about. So first, our first 11 must put themselves forward. And where we find such people not putting themselves forward, we must encourage them. And where such people have presented themselves, we must support them. We must support them to succeed. So people who have influence, positive influence, people who can make a difference, we must do that. And as we start doing that, our younger people will start seeing the difference, that things can be done differently and that leadership can be selfless. I'm pleased with what ROMD has done in Alaja. I've had a little bit of it before hearing it from him now. I think we just need to multiply that, and then he needs to expand the horizon from Alaja maybe to Udu, and so on and so forth. In fact, it's such thoughts that made me present myself for political office. Otherwise, it was a no-go area. But how can I be silent when my people are suffering from something I can contribute to solving? And that is the issue. I would also say that the ideas that are coming out of this webinar, we should put them into practice. One of the key outcomes I'm looking forward to, Dr. TV has listed a number of them, is this Urhobo station on DSTV. I'm worried whenever I go to Urhobo marriages and I see the ceremony, Urhobo traditional marriage, and I see elements of Igbo culture, the bride taking the drink and dancing around and looking for the groom. And I'm like, where do you get this from? They say DSTV. When did DSTV become the source of Urhobo culture? I've had to stop it 2-3 times. It's not our culture. We don't do that. So if we can get an Urhobo TV station on DSTV, for example, it will help to correct some of these things. And we have the people who can do it here. Peter Igo is there. Everybody's here who has the contact. And some of us can do the little we can also to contribute to that. You know, I don't want to take all the time. I've enjoyed being here. I always enjoy it. Always learning a lot. And I'm available to do whatever I'm asked to do by my people. Thank you very much for the privilege of having me.
Thank you, distinguished Honorable Francis. We're always very grateful to you for being part of this program. We are rounding up now. I'm going to take closing comments from our speakers and facilitators. I want to go back to Ali Baba. Ali Baba, one of the challenges that came out from the polling was capital, access to capital. You are in the federal government COVID-19 committee, and I know that it is just based on your hard work and commitment over the years. You've also been recognized severally. How do we solve the capital and access to fund problem? I know you're not a bank, you're not a microfinance, but I know that you've done business.
All right. The thing is that whatever you have, whatever idea you have, will be looked at by people who would assess it by a feasibility study or a business plan and tell you, will this fly? What number of people are you appealing to? Because demography is a very strong base for giving anybody a loan, and then pay back the return on investment. How are you paying back? When are you paying back? That's one thing. So anytime you bring an idea to any of all those people, they will ask, how are you going to get the money back? And which is why I said that we as an Urhobo people we've not built a unison. We've not built a unity that is strong enough for us to if you have an Igbo movie out now, you are sure that you have an Igbo movie, anybody will want to invest in it, because first of all, now you then have a platform again that would help it sell. Then you have people who are everywhere and are keyed into the Igbo consciousness. How many people are keyed into the Urhobo consciousness? How many people are keyed into Yoruba consciousness and keyed into the Hausa consciousness? Those are the things that make anybody want to invest easily do so. And so if there's money that has to be invested, it has to be put on one side. For instance, all the monies that have been raised by Urhobo people, all the monies that have been made by Urhobo people, if we had a 500 million naira fund, 500 million, I'm not even talking 1 billion, 500 million naira fund, and we say this is devoted to growing the Urhobo culture and growing Urhobo social, economic viability, in less than 1 year, and all of those things are pushed out and people begin to embrace them, you can then be sure that people will come and buy in. The reason Igbo people bought into Nollywood was because they were seeing return on investment. Where would the return on investment come from? It is the return on investment that will drive the investors to put money in the business. Right now, if any comedian wants to organize a show and he goes to somebody and says, I want to organize a show at Muson Center, I need 10, 20 million. They will give the comedian because they know there's a market there. Have we created the market? No. If we're talking about going on DSTV, first of all, DSTV will not put you on because they know you don't have content to back it up. RMD and Uncle Peter will tell you, if you do not have content, DSTV will not even think about you. So we need to first build content. But in building the content, we need to have angel investors. And those angel investors are the ones that will drive the consciousness first before we then begin to put money into it. So true. What is it that people need money for? The truth is, a lot of people that want money do not want money for the right reasons. I worked on a project with EcoBank a long time ago. RMD can make reference to it when it's rounding up. They killed the idea. There was a time NIB was giving money for stage production. Some people collected money. A play that's supposed to run for 7 days, they did it for only 3 days and forgot about the production. And that killed that. EcoBank also started something, gave money to people. So we need to have people who are honest, people who are committed to the art and not spoil the business for other people. And that is how we begin to make money. That is how we begin to get people to trust us with funds. And then they then see the value propositions. The value propositions would also then grow when we have platforms to push our, because right now, if we shoot any movie, we're going to be begging people for platforms to show it. But there are other stations and other platforms beyond. There's Star Times. So let's leave DSTV because their demands and requirements might be hard. But there's Star Times. I understand that there are about like 10 or so cable stations that we could start building from first, and then build a mass, then move that mass to DSTV for larger viewing. That's what I think.
Fantastic points. And I think that one of the key things you mentioned is content, which is a key driver, to access to fund. I'm going to bring Uncle Peter Igo for his closing remarks. Network has not been very fair to him, but I'd like you to just give us your closing remarks and the message you want to leave with the Urhobo people.
Well, I'm particularly happy about the conversation today because that's a step forward from talk. We're now beginning to assimilate and pull our thoughts together to draw a roadmap for the future. And I believe that with things like this, discussions like this, we're going to get there slowly. A lot of, like Oliver said, confidence has to be there. And for someone to come and invest money. Unfortunately, in the past, many of those who have ventured out, like called angel investors, who have put their money out, have their fingers burnt by those who have not been too honest. I almost was sacked from NTA when at one point in my endeavor to work with an Urhobo team, I don't will remember that story. I had called all Urhobos together in 1983 when I became general manager. I said on the pretense I was going to produce a pidgin English journal, but it was an excuse to talk to my fellow brothers to say, I grew up without a mentor, somebody I can reach up to. But I want to be here for all of you so that if there's anything you want, I can assist. We then left that meeting and I gave an Urhobo producer a new series to run, gave him a brand new camera, gave him my wife's Jeep to run. The end story was that he destroyed the NTA camera. He used my wife's Jeep for his own productions, was not paying his artists. I was almost sacked. The Urhobo man who helped with my Nigerian Bruce who pushed to get the funding for us was almost sacked. But in spite of that, we will not allow one bad egg to destroy our impression of what we can do for each other. So my last words will be, we need, as Urhobo, in the generality, begin to think that the future is not just in thinking only about ourselves, but also in ensuring that our community grows, the young ones grow, and the rest of them grow. Otherwise, if you do not allow these young ones to have a future, you will not have a future because you'll be living in a jail, high walls, barbed wires, and the rest of them, and you cannot sleep. So it's in your own interest and everybody's interest that we think as one, we get to know who we are, and we are great people. How many nations have produced Alibabas and RMDs? There are many of them like that out there in Urhobo land, but we have to give them that opportunity. That opportunity comes with first, each of us, we don't have to wait for the big money to come from the banks. What can we do to support? There's one young girl, Atuyota Comedy. I follow her comedy every channel. She sings, she dances, she acts and all that. And once in a while, I call her to encourage her. Little drops like that. We encourage them to grow. And much as we build such content, like Anima said, nobody will give you a platform unless you have the content. And once you get good content, money follows good content. So you have to produce what is good to attract money. And once you've done that, then more money will follow. And I believe that many of these Urhobos who think that the only investment is to buy a big car or build a big house. No, the future is entertainment. And once you invest there, the sky is the limit.
Thank you very much, Uncle P. I don't know if Rachel is still there for her closing remark. Rachel, I'd like to bring you on to give your closing remarks. I know that you're on set, but we thank you for being magnanimous to give us your time. If you're there, I'd like you to unmute and speak to us in terms of your closing remark. Rachel, are you there? Okay, so I think Rachel is on set now, so we may not be able to hear from her. And I'll go back to our distinguished keynote speaker, Richard Mofe-Damijo, to give us his closing remark. And after that, I will call on one of the board of trustees, Utive Igbuzo, to give us the appreciation and also closing remarks for today's session. And then we'll have the closing prayer and the Urhobo anthem. So our keynote speaker, thank you very much. I know you've said a lot, but I'd like you to just wrap it up together. You've seen the polling, you've seen the challenges, you've seen the conversation. What is the future for entertainment? What is the way forward? People have also clamored that this series should be extended to another series because the music and other parts of entertainment wasn't covered. And what are your thoughts around that in moving this sector forward? Your closing remarks, sir.
Okay, that is very necessary. Just to kick off from where you stopped, entertainment is such a wide-ranging subject, and so you can't cover it in one webinar. For me, my last words will be that there is a growing divide between us professionals and the real grassroots. There is a need for us to start forming coalitions between all the professional groups and UPU and every other Urhobo cultural group or Renaissance group or whatever. There has to be some kind of networking around all these groups with UPU so that we can begin to affect all the intellectualization and the discussions and all the robust arguments and all debates and all that we must start to affect the immediate community, all our communities, so that the gap, we can begin to reduce the gap, because the more the gap widens, the more we talk to ourselves, so that we can stop preaching to the choir, like they say, and start preaching and doing things with the grassroots. There is not enough interaction between the professionals on the one hand and grassroots. I started something many years ago called Made in Worry, which was meant to, just get people from worry. But now, after my Obujo experience, what I want to do is to try and see how I can do that around the Urhobo community and all that, and grow new RMDs and grow new Alibabas and grow new Rachel Onigas and all of that. And we need the active collaboration of professionals like you. Like I said, the dissemination of the Chinese culture was mostly done by Chinese immigrants in different places where they find themselves. As they moved along, they took their culture with them, and so you guys should. As much as possible, we should have fora as well where we can when we get this synergy together, where we can raise funds, even outside of the UPU umbrella, or working in conjunction with UPU, do a major come back home conference or whatever of the Urhobo Nation, and then begin to build coalitions and see how we can put some of these funds together and endow some of these foundations that will take care of our languages, take care of our arts, take care of our entertainment, and generally take care of our culture, and then begin to promote the Urhobo consciousness that we all are striving to make sure that we promote.
Thank you very much. I will thank you very much for your magnanimity, in spite of your busy schedule, to join us today and also to be the keynote. We'll connect with you because we know that you're one of the role models in this industry, and you've been gracious enough to honor us with your time. Also, thank you to Alibaba and also to our Uncle Peter Igo, as well as Rachel Oniga. I don't know, I was going to call on Utive Igbuzo for the closing remarks. Utive, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. So can you give us, thank our speakers and give us a closing remark? And then we can also take a closing prayer.
Thank you very much, Benson. On behalf of the Urhobo webinar group, we want to thank our speakers for what they have done. We know how busy they are, and with the time they've committed to this process is incalculable. We want to thank you very much. And like many people have said, this is the beginning, because what we hope to do in the Urhobo webinar group is that any issue we take is not just about discussion, but concrete actions to follow it. And as the actions come, which some of them we can do, some of them other Urhobo people can take it up and begin to run with them, I'm sure we will come back to you. For me, I think that there are 6 key points that have come out of this discussion. The first is that there is the need for all of us as Urhobo people to encourage the speaking and writing of Urhobo language. The second is that there is the need for revival of Urhobo traditions and practices, such as storytelling, dancing. I wrote in the chat group that when I was growing up as a young man, because I grew up in a village, I'm a village boy, I was dancing Igbogonia. And during the time of Igbogonia, everybody, the whole town will gather and we'll dance for them to see. That's to let RMD know that maybe when I retire, I may come and join them to begin to practice this profession. The third thing is the need to document and promote Urhobo culture, Urhobo dances, Urhobo festivals, and Urhobo ceremonies. And then the fourth is the need to encourage partnership, to make films, plays, create content, have radios with specific focus on Urhobo issues, TV, online platforms, and so on. And then the fifth one is the money, how to get capital through encouraging Urhobo
Okay, Dr. Otive, are you there? Okay, it appears Dr. Otive is having some network challenge. Dr. Otive, are you there? Okay, I think we're about that time, so I want to call on Ima Okotete. Is Ima there for the closing prayer for today? So Ima, I'm going to ask you to unmute your mic and give us a closing prayer for today. Thank you. Ima, are you there?
Urhobo Wado.
Hey.
Urhobo Wado.
Hey.
Well, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit,
Man.
We thank the Lord Almighty for bringing us all together today for this very important discussion. Indeed, we pray that all that we have been told today, we will put them to action to the glory of God and for the betterment of the Urhobo people. So we pray for mercy, compassion of the Lord, so that we can achieve the objectives, goals that we have set out to achieve, to the glory of God and to the betterment of the Urhobo nation. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining. Please go visit the website, urhobowebinargroup.com. You can also join us if you are interested. Send us an email at the urhobowebinargroup.com, Facebook and Instagram handle. All our speakers are also part of the webinar group, and therefore it's a big group of intellectuals generating innovative ideas for the Urhobo nation. We are not political, but we are just strictly professionals who are interested in the growth of Urhobo nation. want to say a big thank you to all of you and our speakers again. Do have yourself a good evening. I'm going to unmute everyone now. I muted all of you. That's why you couldn't speak. But now I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself, and then you can send greetings to everyone, and then we can call it a day. Urhobo wado, Urhobo wado, Urhobo. In Yoruba.
Good tell us.
So I'm going to play
Thank
some
you, everyone.
Hello.
Listen,
Thank
thank you.
you,
I'm sorry for
everyone.
the
Thank
fact
you
that I
very
was
much.
placed off and
R&D big one. Now, like their collection to do.
wado, wado, wado.
Now, whenever you're driving past the place, what you do is to put your eyes on your phone and then make as if there is and you can see the distance between this pole and this pole. And once it's done, then you will always get through. Does that make sense? Okay, what do you think? You are the newest driver. You use one mirror. Yeah, I use one.
Thanks for putting this together. For speaking.
It's good to go. Okay, there is one topic I thought it's something that I thought I think I talked a long time ago. Whether you remember, I know it was a long. When we were driving at like this, and there's a vehicle coming with bright lights, you cannot see where you are going. You just use the line in the middle of the road as your guide.
The rain was that time. The rain was so strong. Yes. You couldn't see anything. I am here.
Dancing.
You cannot see. Yes. Truck to my left. How far now? I stood down for the line, and there's one measly line, straight line. Yes, I can hear you clearly. That's the line. All I could see. I did fine.
I'm not quick enter because I will get one lecture where I do before.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
See somebody where you know, sweetheart.
I hope you enjoyed the session today.
No, yeah, but I didn't join on time. But I think towards the end, it's fantastic.
Don't worry, the video will be on YouTube shortly.
That would be good. Send me the link for that one, because that one is this today's one. It seems like it's very informative. The kind of discussion that they had today is the one that I'm actually looking for.
Is that not this person's sister?
Okay.
It's your great.
Maybe you can't hear me.
So the link will be on YouTube. The link to the YouTube video will be available shortly. Let's say in a couple of days.
Okay.
We need to do some editing on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good like that.
Yes. Dora, I see you. Good evening.
Yeah, good to you. Been a while.
Yes, on your side now, my brother.
Yeah, thank God. Hope you're good.
Very well.
It was a wonderful session. Thanks to you guys for putting this together. God bless the Urhobo Nation. Yeah.
He says, Yeah, so we're looking forward to getting the link.
Sarah, I can see you.
Big sir.
You did answer.
I'm fine, though. Nice one. Really enjoyed it.
How you find like today, bread?
Fresh like fresh fish.
Well done.
Take out this. Well done.
I won't call her name. Yes, Stella. Dr. Ufoma.
Sister, how far now?
Fine, no. Adrian, that's my elder sister.
Doki, good evening. Yeah. Good to have you around.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Christopher from Willie South. Dara Christopher from Willie South.
Yeah?
Are you from Willie South?
Yeah, I'm from Ughelli South.
Yeah, wow. That's good.
Ujenwe Wado.
Hey, good to talk to.
Ujenwe Wado.
Hey.
My name is not the way. My dad is your.
Hey, Jiro. Please send me a message on WhatsApp so I can have your contact. Who the answer that I come from Ughelli South? I misplaced my phone, so I'd like to have it.
Okay.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Thank you. When it's convenient, though.
So are you?
Yeah, I'm good, though. So this is my first station. I just try my CIB, but it was a nice conversation, very, very nice.
Very. Check the YouTube. Check our website. You see a link to the YouTube that you can see. If you see the older sessions.
Yeah, it was really, really nice because normally I don't have time to check something like this, but today, since I'm free, I just said let me check on it, and it was so super nice. I really, really appreciate it. It's quite innovative.
Hey, Jerome, please, can you send the link on chat? The YouTube link.
Which chat? This chat now?
Yes, this chat.
Okay. Just a minute.
This look resemble.
Is that what?
Dr. Benson, Miglosa.
I asked if you're related to Professor Gigi there.
I know they hear you. You there on mute.
I said I'm related to Professor Gigi Dara.
Yeah, it should be my stepfather now. It should be my father now.
Oh, your man. Miglosa.
It's my uncle. Our angel.
I'm understandable like that.
Dr. Bessie, my sister is online. Dr. Ufoma.
Yes, I can see how.
Ufoma, put on your video now.
Oh, no.
That's the one I see you. Yes, our sister.
No, we can wave. Just imagine.
Ufoma, on your video now. Ufoma, why are you hiding?
No, we're shining lights. It's going to be too blinding, so we're trying to keep it down.
All right. I think the last time I saw you was at Dad's birthday.
I saw you?
Yeah,
I saw you.
I saw so many people.
Yeah, you were dancing Urhobo music. I saw you.
Just now. You took our culture with us.
Dara.
Yeah.
Dara, Christopher Mabo.
I know, longest time.
You are in which country? You are in Europe, Abi?
I did Berlin.
You did Berlin? I say Angela Merkel.
You did, yeah.
She did.
Yeah, what do you want me to say? It's almost 20 years to Benson.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. Can you drop a note for me? Let me get your contact. Let's add it to the youth forum.
I will. 100%.
Let's connect. You can drop it on the chat box.
Yeah, I will do that.
I hear you have
24 children now with 4 wives in Berlin. Is that true?
Hey, yeah.
I don't want Chiefy. Ologu now.
Yeah. They say picking the better pass the papa. My papa gets 13. I need to times up by 226.
You are there.
My brother, now four I don't end.
Now, how many you get now?
Now 4.
Only 4? You're not an Urhobo man. Only 4?
How many you get? You went to Urhobo man. How many you get?
Ask Ufoma. Ufoma has 7. Ufoma has 7.
You went to Urhobo man. How many you get?
Another life.
0 men. 0 men. You don't know. Let Ufoma tell you.
Now only 3 I know. Wait.
No, but that is true though. I have a lot of children. I have 300 plus.
So, the Igbo man, the Urhobo man, they come.
Am I coming what? No, why do you ask?
Wow. Doro, are you there, Doro?
Yes, I'm here.
I can buy it now.
I can't see you now. Usher now. I can't see your video now.
I'm a
Prince Doro. Am I married?
Yes, bros.
No, I'm not coming now. I will buy when I'm coming. Don't worry.
Play your video now, Doro.
The food not go done if you not use them now.
Ejiro, are you cooking? What's done?
This is a fried meal. What are they cook here now?
Ejiro,
where my banga soup with catfish.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and we'll connect again on the platform, and then reach out to us. God bless you all. Have a good evening. And then bye for now. Okay, I'm going to end the program. So, Christopher, can you drop your chat on the list?
Thank you very much.